Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be discussing what is FAIR. Before explaining what the FAIR acronym stands for, it's important to understand how scientific data is traditionally collected in labs. So when an experiment is conducted, the samples are prepared, the instrument parameters are assessed, and a sample is then analyzed. And the experimental data that comes from this experiment can be stored in a variety of different file types, whether that be an Excel sheet, a Google sheet, a text file, etc. The metadata that is associated with this experimental data either gets discarded or ends up in some obscure physical notebook that might be difficult to locate. Additionally, researchers label this experimental data and metadata often without adhering to any standardized vocabulary, which essentially means that they define their own terms. This leads to a loss of time because researchers that aren't directly involved in the experiment must communicate with other researchers who were involved in order to understand the labels. And in some cases, the data might even be deemed unusable because the labels are impossible to decipher or understand. And this is clearly very time inefficient. So to highlight the ambiguity surrounding the way that data could be represented, take a look at the table to the left. There are two columns. One column is labeled day, and there is some ambiguity about whether the date is in a day-month-year format or month-day-year format. The second column is labeled temp, and it is unclear whether temp means temperature or whether it refers to another concept. If temp does mean temperature, whether the unit is in Fahrenheit or Celsius, where the data is collected, and who recorded this. Essentially, there is no context that is associated with this table on the left. And for this reason, context is so essential, so that with the day column, the user can understand that the date is in a day-month-year format, so that the user can understand that temp does in fact refer to temperature, and that the temp is expressed in the unit Celsius, that the data is collected at the Galway Ireland Airport, and that the data is collected by Michael Mausenbias. And this is where FAIR comes in. So adhering to the FAIR principles means maximizing the value of data assets, promoting collaboration, and accelerating scientific research and innovation. FAIR stands for findable, which means that there's adequate rich metadata and a unique and persistent identifier associated with the data and metadata. Accessible, meaning that both humans and computers can understand the data and that the data can be retrieved from a trusted repository via a protocol like HTTPS. Interoperable, meaning that the data, that there's a formal, accessible, shared, and broadly applicable language for knowledge representation. And reusable, meaning that there is a clear usage license associated with the data and there is accurate information on the provenance of the data. Why is FAIR useful from a research lab perspective? Researchers generate lots of data each day, and we want to be able to share this data between researchers or labs without any need for coordination or further explanation. So by verifying different data sets, you are allowing these data sets to combine readily to build on the same knowledge base, which is guaranteed by the interoperability and reusability aspects of FAIR. And once you combine them, if the two data sets are from the same domain, you are able to determine whether the results are similar or different. And if they are from different domains, you are able to determine where they are doing similar things or what terms they're using in common. And essentially, FAIR reduces the time spent on areas which does not involve innovation and research.